Um, well, my name is Uzoma Ibano. I'm a Nigerian, and I'm from Anambra State, basically. So I studied chemical engineering from Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Nigeria. So that was where I had my bachelor's degree. I applied to different schools in the US, Europe for graduate studies. And by God's grace, I got into the Erasmus Mundus program, which I'm currently on, Brain Engineering for Sustainable Development. Part of the package of the program is that each semester you have to do it in a different country. So for my first semester was in University of Zaragoza, Spain. That was where I had my first semester. I really wish it was very, very easy, but I mean, it wasn't. And at first, I had difficulties with getting transcripts from my school, um, basically. But there are some schools that, getting transcript is very easy. So, but my school, it was really a very hard one. So that was one of the challenges I had because um, when I started processing my visa to Spain, I have to first of all go to their website because you need to, for you to even make an application to the Spanish embassy, you have to book an appointment. And this appointment, you need to try and make it as early as possible. More like, first of all, write an email to them. They will look at their dates and see available dates, then offer you the date. It could even be 2 months ahead of when you wrote the email. So you need to send it ahead to know if there is any close dates they can offer you. And before you do that, you need to have in mind the opening date of the school you are going to and start planning ahead. So I was working with that time frame, trying to get my transcript, trying to get other necessary documents, police character, and so many other documents that are needed for study visa. So afterwards, I had to travel to Abuja to authenticate these documents, you know, authenticate it and verify it and all whatnot. It involves money, so you have to pay for these things and all. So because if you don't authenticate these documents, you can't submit it to the Spanish embassy for legalization. So because your documents needs to be legalized before you can use it for visa application. So the process is that long and can be a bit tedious. So afterwards, I submitted my document for legalization, and the document for legalization, like a page, I don't know how much it is now, but a page is roughly around 19,000 per page of a document. So you just have to, also plan towards that, depending on, in some cases, like you might legalize up to like 6 to 7 pages, depending on the documents and all. So afterwards, then you can now start your application process. So depending on the route you are taking. For my case, there wasn't need for proof of fund because I had my scholarship. But in case where there is no scholarship, you will need a proof of fund, either from your sponsor or maybe your personal account or something to show that you have enough fund to sustain yourself when you go over there, basically. In my case, I would say that my visa approval was within a month because my program the Erasmus Mundus they played a very huge role in making sure they don't delay the process. Okay, that's a very tricky question there. So basically, before I traveled to Spain, like I asked a lot of questions to people that are already there, and the only thing they keep telling me is, "Shall be prepared. Just be prepared." I said, "Prepared for what?" They said, "Shall be prepared," because like I was like, "Oh, I'm coming to enjoy and all." I said, "Shall be prepared." I did not really understand that part. But when it comes to what I try to do basically is I try not to travel with much load, because even if I tried my best as a lady, you want to take, your clothing and some other things. I tried my best to reduce my load. Then I had some foodstuffs with me that were dry and all. Uh, then I had this Aboniki balm, this rub for cold, because I'm kind of I easily catch cold easily. So, and I had to also book an accommodation from Nigeria, because it's something that was really essential, because the school accommodation was offering was more expensive. So I had to look for an accommodation while I was still in Nigeria through their housing websites in Spain. I think they have Idealista, they have Spotter Homes. These are the two major housing websites for Spain. So um, when I got there, I having to communicate with them because they speak mostly Spanish. So for me to communicate with them, when I got their number, I go to WhatsApp, then I'll start translating to chat with them. Maybe if I want to tell them, "Oh, I saw this accommodation, how much is it?" I'll have to translate it to Spanish before sending it to them. They will reply. So that was more of how I was communicating with them. At the end of the day, I made my payments and all. And one funny thing about housing here in in about housing in Spain is that there is what they call the security deposit. You have to pay it first. Security deposit is the money you pay for them to secure the room for you. And also, it will only be refunded after your contract with them has ended and you did not spoil or destroy anything in the room. So if, let's say, after staying in a room and when you're leaving, maybe a seat was broken or one of their plates is broken, they will have to replace it with the security deposit you paid. Any balance that is remaining, any balance, they will give it back to you before you leave. So that security deposit is more like a must payment that I have to make. So afterwards, then when I came, that was when I paid like you have to pay monthly every month. So I think that was how I settled my accommodation. In fact, if there's any mistake you would want to, like any first time I shouldn't do, is asking the older, like asking the older people questions. Don't even try it, because I mean, number one, they would feel angry that you're asking them something in English. They
Oh,
will feel
really?
very, yes, they don't find it funny at all. They don't find it funny at all. So don't just desist that, like just avoid it. So if you must ask any question at all, the least you could do is have a translator in your phone, either Google Translator or Deep Learning, all these translation apps where you can easily speak and it will translate. Then you can meet either the security staff there or the receptionist or any of the younger people around there, and then communicate with them. Because how will I put it? If you are waiting for you to communicate with someone in English there, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, but you might not move an inch. So basically, so that's one thing. And that was one of the challenges I had. Then another thing again is that, back in Nigeria, we don't really use Google Map. You already know where you are going to. So, like, I had to start learning, like, Google Map, like, normally, that if you want to go to use Google Map, you just put the location and all, but the technique, the technicalities involved on how to actually use it, like use it on an actual journey. Like I learned to Europe. So if I knew how to use it very well, maybe the first time I came to Europe, it wouldn't really be as hectic as it was, basically. So
Okay.
I think that's one very major thing because here everybody minds their business. Like everybody minds their business. Like it's like just mind your business, basically. So I think that's one of the things, like have the Google map, have a translator so that you can easily ask people questions and they'll respond to you. Then if you are super, super lucky and if you are favored, like there is possibility of meeting someone that speaks English. English and Spanish. When you meet such people, they are very, very nice. They're very, very nice, both either young and old. But greater time if you get lost, please ask a younger person. They would be more willing to give you a listening ear. First of all, is the transportation system. Transportation system was really one of the things that was a bit of like, okay. Why I said the transportation system is that here they have the metro, they have the tram, they have the bus. Having to differentiate between these three things and to know when to use which. And there was this very funny thing that happened. The first time I got to the metro, that was my first time actually. When I got to the metro, like when I got from the flight and all, I got to the metro stop. And then there was no metro coming. So that place was very vacant. Like it was very big. So my Nigerian mindset was telling me, oh, maybe you have to um like step down, like maybe bring your bag down or step down on the railway. Like maybe the metro is not that, I don't even know what I was thinking, but this was what was going on in my head. But somehow, a part of my brain was telling me, wait, if you miss this one, you would enter another one. Just observe and see what other people are doing before you take any step. You understand? So this was what the other part of my brain was telling me. So I had to wait and see what other people are doing, basically. So while I was observing, I saw a metro come and it was very massive and long. I said, wow, I saw people enter and all. And I was like, how do I know this is the right metro I'm going to? So it was more of like observation and learning while on the journey. Like I was just being kind of very easy, as like taking it one step at a time with myself so that you don't go into the wrong hands, you don't enjoy yourself and all. Because if anything happens to me, nobody know where I was at that point in time, you know. So I have to like safety first, basically. So
Okay.
I think after I did my proper observations and check-ins, I now had to wait for the next metro to come. That was how I entered. I was like, okay, yeah, we are here. Okay. So that was like the first um shock I had. Then the second one was the fact that they respect queue a lot. Back
Okay.
in Nigeria, I don't know, back in Nigeria, like it's very, maybe people could be standing in a line and the next thing you see someone, because you feel like you have muscle and all those things, you want to come and show yourself and all, you just, but here, like if there is a queue, everybody stands, like respects the queue. Even if you are going to buy food or going to purchase a ticket, anything at all, it's so orderly. Like if you think you are in a rush, then you should come out earlier, you know. So
Okay.
the fact that they respect queue And sometimes the Nigerian mindset you be telling you, what if this person? No, if you are the number five person on the queue, you will definitely be the fifth person to be attended to. Even if the person comes with luxury or whatever, the person will still have to wait. So they respect queue a lot. And another thing is the I think the first time I went to the grocery store to pick up some items and all. It was very funny. I think that very day I was looking for I wanted to buy was it cooking oil and onion or something and some other things. So when I got to the mall, I was looking at the what they had there. Like everything was in Spanish, basically. I was like, okay, so how do I buy something here? At some point, I had to use sign language with the guys working there. And funny enough, like I was able to buy some things with sign language though, but it was very funny. And I was like, okay, I think there's a better way I could actually do this without having to use sign language. So that was when I started using Google Lens. Um, like when you go to Google, like you want to search something, there is this part that has a pic where you can take a picture to translate. Yeah, so that was when I learned how to use Google Lens. So if I enter a mall and I don't know what this is in that, I'll just snap it and scan it and see what it is, and I'll know whether I want it or not. So that was another thing again. And another shock I had was more like the high rate of smoking. Like smoking is just like drinking water. So even if someone starts smoking, you can't even tell them, oh, stop it. If you don't like it, either you move or you just, keep it put and all. It's just very common. Just very, very common here. Then another thing again is the fact that during greetings, let's say someone meets you, the person hugs you and pecks
Yeah,
you. I mean, from where I come from, that is not the
normal
it's
thing.
not the it's not the normal thing to do and all. So, and I think that another thing again, they are very big on public display of affection. Or
Okay.
like you could be in a bus or in a tram, and the next thing you are seeing young stars and all doing some, and if it is, I mean, back in Nigeria, like if you're in a transport and you see people doing that, you'll be angry. You'll be like, could you guys just get a room and stop this here? But I mean, over there, like,
Okay.
isn't it the perfect time to say, oppress the singles and all? So I think if anybody is talking of oppression of the singles in Nigeria, like when they actually come to Europe, you would get used to it by force because I mean, sometimes maybe I go to the library to read or do something, and maybe I'm looking for a seat, and you see those very pretty people, like, oh, sorry, my boyfriend is sitting down here, my girlfriend is sitting down here, and you're like, the Nigerian mind is even like, oh, okay, you're trying to be very civil, and I was like, okay, no problem. But these things are things that it doesn't just come off so easily like that. I think
Mm,
basically other ones was more like here, I would say they operate 247. Like,
okay.
for example, if you decide to go somewhere around 2 a.m., 1 a.m., it's all pleasure. Like, they operate 247, basically. And the fact that just having to think the owner is the way they treat dog. They love dog more than anything else. Like, they can practically talk to their pets that they talk to human beings, basically. So I think that was just the major thing. I learned Spanish to enable me go about my daily to daily activities because, for example, if you enter a place and you don't even know what to say, or maybe you don't greet them in their language, they kind of, I mean, they might not only give you that audience and all. But when you come into a place and you're like, hola, buenos
Yeah.
dias, they'll be like, oh, Demi, Demi, Demi. More like, tell me, what do you want? You
Okay.
understand? So once it kind of creates that positive environment. So once they
Mm,
tell you, Demi, 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 like, tell me, what do you want? Maybe if
mm,
I already have something I want to tell them, which I've already translated to
mm,
Spanish, I might just type it and show them. They will read it and be like, okay, no problem. They will attend to you, basically.
mm.
But if you just come into a place and you're like, good morning, there is this form of resistance and all. So if not for anything, just have the hola, and why saying it, just smile. Whether you
Mm.
are happy or not happy, just try and keep a smiling face. They laugh a lot and they really love to part. So I think the language part, one of another thing again they usually do is that for international students, there is a language course. They have the
Okay.
intensive class, they have the not so intensive class where you learn Spanish, A1 level, A2 level, depending. Also, some schools would recommend, I think there are some schools that actually give their students subsidized or maybe at a discounted rate to register in platforms like what's the name of the platform is, I'm trying to remember the name of the platform, the
Is it
Rosetta Stone.
Duolingo?
No. Duolingo is, I mean, that one you could do it on a personal note. There's this Rosetta Stone. Yeah, Rosetta Stone platform. So it's another website where you can learn any language at all. So some schools usually partner with them to help international students to get integrated into the language and all.
Okay.
Duolingo is another perfect place. For me, I use Duolingo to learn. Yeah. Yes. There are
Mm.
such opportunity. But the thing here is that for you to harness such opportunity, you need to, at least beginner's level of Spanish is would be an advantage, basically, because they will need you to interact with the locals.
Pattern
Teaching
is.
pattern is completely different from what I used to know or what is completely different. Like at some point, I remember calling a friend of mine. I'm like, "Are you sure we actually went to university? Because it seems like everything we've done for the past 5 years of our life is like maybe we've been scratching the surface. There is a whole lot more." So, their teaching pattern here is more of will I say, like it's more of the like there are some exams that you will even be asked to write at home, but even if it is
Okay.
at home, like you would
It
have to
doesn't mean
sweat,
it's easy.
yes, you will sweat through your nose basically, and they are very strict in their marking system. Like if you like their pass mark is like a 5, like their grading system is 0 to 10. So your goal is to make sure that you pass the pass mark, which is 5. But if in any case that you fail a course, they usually have this extra call, maybe during the summer, maybe around June, July, where you have to come and resit a course and
Okay.
yeah, to make a better grade and all. But generally, they want you to learn. And if anyone is also applying to study any course in Spain, you need to be sure, in fact, certain that that course will be taught in English language. You need to be certain about it because English language, I used to think is I mean everybody speaks English until I got to Spain, basically. At some point I even forgot how to speak English. So like you need to be very, very certain about it that the course you are going for they speak English. If not, it will be a big struggle because sometimes they might tell you something in English, maybe the professor or the lecturer already knows that this is definition of this thing, but he will want to explain to you in some other way. But because of that language limitation, he will still be using the buzzwords. Like he will not be able to break it down into a way that you understand it.
Okay. Mhm. So, what do you think? You're studying an engineering course. What other courses do you think are good to study in Spain? What other areas do you think Spain is
I think
strong?
construction,
Okay,
architecture.
okay.
Yeah.
How
So
about in the medical field? You don't have, like, you're not sure of
I'm not sure.
medical. Okay, but it seems they're very strong when it comes to engineering, civil engineering. Okay,
Yes, they're
all right.
very strong. And
Mhm.
the person is interested in human resources and all.
Okay,
Like,
they also have good human resources course. What of business related courses like the
yes,
M-
yes,
B A?
I recommend. Yeah.
So how about the cost of living? Is it expensive there? What's the average cost of living like in Spain?
Mm, average cost of living, let's say, is below €1,000.
Okay.
Yeah, averagely between 7 to €800.